Today is a wonderful feast of Pentecost, where Eastertide draws to a close, where we celebrate the coming of the Holy Spirit. So with that, let us hear our gospel for the day. Jesus said to his disciples, "When the Advocate comes, whom I shall send to you from the Father, the Spirit of truth who issues from the Father, he will be my witness. And you too will be witnesses, because you have been with me from the outset. I still have many things to say to you, but they will be too much for you now. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will lead you to the complete truth, since he will not be speaking as from himself, but will say only what he has learned. And he'll tell you of the things to come. He will glorify me, since all he tells you will be taken from what is mine. Everything the Father has is mine. That is why I said, all he tells you will be taken from what is mine." The Gospel of the Lord. So, one of the most powerful great feasts of our church, the Feast of Pentecost. It's a shame we only have one weekend in which to celebrate it, so let's make the most of it. When I was thinking of Pentecost, I was thinking all the re-words that come with it. You know, the renew, the restoring, the re-energizing, the reinvigorating, the rejuvenating, the recreating, the replenishing. All the re-words that come when we think of the Holy Spirit, what he can do for us, what he can give us. And one of the things that this week's Gospel focus is truth. This incredible fact of truth. The Spirit of truth, as he is called. At the end of John's Gospel, we hear this intriguing sentence. There are many things that Jesus did. If they were written down, the world itself, I suppose, would not hold all the books that would have to be written. Obviously a little bit of hyperbole there, but basically he's saying there's a lot that was not written down. That's hardly surprising, is it, in the life and ministry of Jesus? Let's think about that though. If you weren't fortunate enough to be an original disciple with Jesus, then you want to say, well, how can I guarantee I'm connecting with the full and real essence of Jesus? You know, there's more to know, obviously, and so much is not being recorded. So where do I get that from? How can we be sure that in following Jesus we don't deviate even from what Jesus was, the essence of Jesus, if we haven't got it all written down? Don't worry. The answer is the Holy Spirit. And that's the gift we're celebrating today. So with that line of thought, I pick up in our Gospel today where it says, I still have many things to say to you. This is Jesus speaking. But there'll be too much for you now. But when the Spirit of truth comes, he will lead you to the complete truth. And as we hear that, hopefully we're kind of thinking, I want this truth. The Spirit of truth, give me the complete truth. Show me where I can find it. First place, in the church, the one holy Catholic Apostolic Church. The Spirit of truth operates within the church. It's one of his main places where he functions. What is this truth? It is the teachings of Christ and all that we know that comes through the church from those teachings. We can hold up a catechism of the Catholic Church and say, here's a compendium of the fullness of truth that the Spirit has led us in. And it's more than the Gospels, isn't it? It's that expanded truth. St. John Henry Newman said this truth and how it's grown through the Holy Spirit is literally like an acorn and an oak tree. They look very, very different, one far smaller than the other, but the oak tree has grown organically from the acorn. That's the truth. That's been led by the Spirit through our church. After I've preached in a Mass, we will say the Creed together. Where does the Creed come from? We call it the Nicene Creed because it was finalized in the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. It's quite a few hundred years after Jesus. And those lovely full sentences of faith that we profess at Mass that grew out of this truth that Jesus is talking about, which the Holy Spirit led us in. is just one of many wonderful examples. So you can say that the Spirit of truth, acting through the church, that we can trust it, that it cannot err in matters of faith and morals. And that we can still say in our 21st century, like we have when people get received into the church, they can still stand there with great confidence to say, I believe and profess all that the Holy Catholic Church believes, teaches and proclaims to be revealed by Christ. It is the Spirit himself that has led us into that fullness of truth. So that's where we can get this fullness of the Spirit of truth. What about also not being part of the church, but also in our own personal lives? How can we see this? We talk about the good news of Jesus Christ, don't we? This good news of Jesus Christ doesn't guarantee us the best of jobs, or financial security, or the most perfect husband or wife, or whatever. It doesn't guarantee us an ecstatic state of perpetual happiness in this life. That isn't the case. But this is the essence of the good news, the Spirit of truth working through it. The Spirit of truth, through your faith, will lead you into that place of reality. It places you in reality. You can almost interchange the two words, truth and reality, as opposed to falsity and the unreal. The Spirit of truth leads you through faith into the truth of reality. That is so important. The Holy Spirit then will lead you into truth about God, about you, and about the world, placing you totally in reality when you accept what is revealed through the church. This good news as well can be seen in this way. The good news that the Spirit of truth leads you to in faith gets you out of the death trap. What do I mean by that? There's a film a number of years ago, wasn't there, called Dead Men Walking. It was about a story of a nun who worked as a prison chaplain and who accompanied this man to his death sentence. And apparently in the jails, when the person is walking to their place of execution, the person in front shouts, "Dead man walking." Now, that being too morbid about this, there is a sense that as soon as we're born into the world, we are dead men walking, aren't we? In that film, obviously, it's only a short walk before he died. That's like a microcosm in one sense of our life. As soon as we're born, we're on this road that we're walking down, which will end in death. When you say yes to the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, in a sense, he takes you beyond the death that we all have to face. Beyond death into eternity, and with faith in him and living by that truth into heaven itself. It gets you out of the death trap. Physically, spiritually, metaphorically, however way you wish to see it. Without faith, there is a sense we are dead men walking. With faith, we can actually use St. Paul's sentence here. It's no longer I that live, but Christ that lives in me. He will take you through death into eternity when you have faith in him and are faithful to him. And maybe a third aspect of this good news and the Spirit of truth gives us is simply this. Life is hard. That's guaranteed. Faith or no faith, life is hard if you're living it properly. It will challenge us. We have to take responsibility for it. And if we're going to be disciples of Jesus and live lives of faith, hope and love, in one sense it can become even harder. We're called as disciples to take up our cross daily and follow him. Living lives of faith, hope and love is a massive challenge. It can really push us to the edge if we're trying to do it properly. And this is where the Holy Spirit comes in personally, to enlighten us, guide us, strengthen us, console us. This is where we can personally feel that restoring, renewing, recreating, rejuvenating, reinvigorating, replenishing. We can feel that personally for ourselves as well. That's the power of the Holy Spirit. That's what we're celebrating today in all its breadth and depth and goodness. Come, Holy Spirit, fill our hearts, our minds and our souls with your power, your love, and especially for the gospel today with your truth. God bless.